Thank you for joining us tonight for News Center Maine at 6. I'm Brian Yacono. Amanda Hill is off today. I want to get right to meteorologist Ryan Bretton for a look at the forecast. He's been very busy tracking a number of things. What are your eyes on right now, Ryan?
Well, Brian, the good news is the severe weather risk pretty much over in just about all of the state, with the exception being northern Maine. This is video from Skowhegan around 3:45 or so this afternoon. There was a thunderstorm moving from the Norridgewock area into Skowhegan, and when it was back over Norridgewock, a spotter in Mercer looking into Norridgewock reported a funnel cloud to the Weather Service. As a result, they issued a tornado warning because there was some rotation on radar. And by the time this storm got into Skowhegan, what you're looking at here is the wall cloud with a little lowering to it. And this is the updraft area of the thunderstorm where air is getting sucked in. And there was a little circular look to this, not quite a funnel cloud here from what we can tell. And there also have been no reports of damage in Norridgewock or Skowhegan that we are aware of so far. There were some wind damage reports in Kennebunk from a storm that went through there around 1:30 this afternoon. This is the report of the funnel cloud that came into the Weather Service just before 3:30 that triggered that tornado warning as it moved from Norridgewock into Skowhegan. Down the line, though, there was a report of wind damage here in the Ripley area. Somerset County Dispatch reported wires down on Ripley Road in St. Albans. Again, that was as the storm moved into that area. There are no warnings in the state right now. One more line of storms moving through the Highlands and northern Maine. The rest of the night, much quieter. See you with better news in the forecast ahead coming up.
We continue following this breaking news scene out of Bridgton this evening, where this fire caused a large response from surrounding agencies. Our Christian Harsa is live with what he's learned new in the last hour. Hi, Christian.
Hi, Brian. I'm currently on a yard of a man who lives just off of 302. We're not too far away from Moose Pond, but right behind me is Beaver Pond here. And this is what the scene, we're going to show you some video footage from someone who lives right over here, what this looked like. I'm going to have audio on so you can hear what is being said right here as the scene is going. The timestamp is 3:45 p.m. It's about 15 minutes after what was described as the start time, according to the people living right here. As you can see behind me now, the scene has been put under control. We've been told by firefighters on the scene. From what we've gathered from neighbors, it was around 3:30 p.m. They heard a loud bang, an explosion. Now, we did talk to one of the people who lives here, just at that blue house over my shoulder behind here, and this is some of what she had to say about the experience of having this happen.
I hope she's okay, but again, I'm really happy that everybody that made it out is safe and alive, because it was really scary.
And so what we've been told now is that the family who had moved into this now burned structure had just recently moved here about in the past month or so. And what we've heard from neighbors is that they were working and constructing on the deck. And it sounds like that they were sawing and cut into a gas line. I spoke to the father of the woman who you just heard from, and he ran out there and said that he came across the woman who bought this home. She was already in the water. Her legs had been burned, and she was in the water trying to cool her body down. She was the one who was taken by life flight, and we saw that helicopter leaving on our way up here. Again, we're here in Bridgton, just off of 302. Behind me is Beaver Pond, and we have been told that the fire chief, or one of them on scene, is going to come out and update us on the scene here, but they do have it under control. Brian.
Christian Harsa live for us there in Bridgton with the breaking news. Thank you. Taking a closer look tonight, an unexpected visit from a U.S. Senator to the ICE facility in Scarborough is shedding light on its operations. That's Senator Ed Markey from Massachusetts. He says ICE confirmed the agent who shot and killed Johan Guerrero in Biddeford last week worked at the facility in Scarborough. He also says ICE told him agents do not wear body cameras and do not receive training at that facility. Congresswoman Shelley Pingree toured that facility last December in response to concerns that immigrants were not being allowed to bring in legal representation. Congresswoman Pingree says that issue appears to have been resolved. She says ICE uses the facility for immigration check-ins with holding cells intended for short periods of time.
We would like to see them just shut it down. We don't need it. I mean, I'm one of the people who thinks that ICE as an agency should be abolished because of the way they've been operating, the ridiculous amount of money that they have, and just the way that I think they operate outside of what is the norm in immigration law.
The Congresswoman also says after last week's shooting in Biddeford, some ICE agents will be wearing body cameras within 45 days. ICE has not responded to our questions about that facility in Scarborough. A federal jury finding a man from Eddington guilty now of threatening former Vice President Kamala Harris. Court records say Thaddeus Wind also targeted Maine law enforcement and Tesla CEO Elon Musk in a series of social media posts. The FBI ended up finding swords at Wind's home during a search last year. Wind faces up to 5 years in prison for each charge. A sentencing date has not yet been determined. Turning to the race for governor now. Planned Parenthood is now endorsing Democrat Hannah Pingree 4 years after the Supreme Court overturned the national right to abortion. Here's Phil Hirschkorn.
Planned Parenthood says 1/3 of American women now live in states where there's no legal access to abortion, and that states are the front lines of reproductive rights.
Access to safe, legal, non-judgmental care can change the course of someone's life.
As an example, the group called on Rachel Duddy, a teacher and mother of a 2.5-year-old daughter. Duddy terminated a pregnancy 11 years ago.
I look back at my diary entry. I didn't write about the shame or the regret. I wrote about the empowerment.
Duddy joined the Planned Parenthood Action Fund in endorsing Hannah Pingree.
And I want a governor who will fight to ensure that my daughter has the same choices and autonomy over her body that I had over mine.
Nicole Clegg, president and CEO of the Action Fund, said Pingree has a long record of defending and expanding reproductive rights as a state legislator and working for Governor Janet Mills.
She'll be a foil to whatever Trump and Republicans in Congress throw at us.
Pingree said she'd work to enshrine the right to abortion in the Maine Constitution.
So that this is never again a decision that rests on who happens to be in the White House, the legislature, or the governor's office.
Well, in my personal view, abortion is abhorrent.
Pingree and Planned Parenthood called Republican gubernatorial candidate Bobby Charles an anti-abortion extremist. In a statement to us, Charles said, "I'm a constitutional lawyer and will uphold any existing state and federal laws as governor." Pingree and Planned Parenthood portrayed independent gubernatorial candidate Rick Bennett's record as inconsistent, having voted to defund family planning and voting against legalizing later in pregnancy abortions. Planned Parenthood gave him a 56% rating in 2023. In a written statement to us, Bennett said, "I have always supported a woman's right to choose. More than 3 decades ago, I co-sponsored the law that codified Roe v. Wade into Maine law. And last year, I was proud to earn a 92% rating from Planned Parenthood Maine Action Fund, reflecting strong, consistent support for reproductive health access with patient protections. Women deserve the freedom, privacy, and dignity to make their own health care decisions, and I continue to support those protections today."
I will defend access to reproductive health care in every single part of the state. Not just in Portland or Bangor, but in rural Maine too, where a woman could already be more than an hour from her nearest health care provider.
Pingree said her other priorities as governor would include making sure family planning clinics are adequately funded and stockpiling the abortion pill, mifepristone. In Portland, Phil Hirschkorn for News Center, Maine.